What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 ways to always get open, okay? So we'll be talking about how you guys can always get open, 3 specific things you can do with your routes to be able to create some separation every time you're on the field, okay? So I hope this video gives you guys some value, but also, fellas, if you guys want to improve your route running in 10 days, you want a 10-day step-by-step specific process with all the drills you need to do to improve your route running in only 10 days, check out that very first link in the description, 10-day schedule to become a better route runner. I hope we get you guys on that soon. Again, very first link in the description. Improve your route running in only 10 days. Let's get started. So first thing I want to talk to you about is attacking leverage, okay? So that's the first way. Every time you're running a route and this DB's kind of in this off man, inside shade, or maybe he's even like 5 to 7 yards back, or maybe even he's head up with you, right? You want to attack his leverage. Now, again, if he's like outside shade and you got like a dig, you don't need to worry about it in situations like this. But now in this case, it's a goal line fade, so it's watch this thing full speed. So he comes off, attacks that leverage, gives him a move, and then it's just a race to the back corner of the end zone. It's just a race to that spot, okay? So now, when I come off the line and I attack him, they call this a squirt release. I want to attack his midline. Now, in this case, right, we're on the goal line. So we know on the goal line that a DB is not going to do what? A DB is not going to backpedal on the goal line, because if we attack him and he starts backpedaling, we could just hook up right there. Quarterback gives us the ball, easy 6 points, right? So he's going to be sitting right there. So we got to know when I attack his leverage, I want to stay in a good range. So you see when he attacks his leverage here more, he's in a range to where he could either lunge at him and get hands, or he's got to stay disciplined and watch those hips. So when I attack his leverage, I got to make sure that I give him a move. I got to make sure that I give him something at the top of this like kind of squirt release to get some separation. So you see what he does. He gives him this like jab to the inside, and what does he do? He sells with that upper half. You see how much his upper half is turning, foot stays in an explosive position so he could drive off and go. Now, the whole point of attacking leverage on this, because it's a goal line fade, you're probably asking, if maybe you're not new, if you're new to this channel, why wouldn't he just go run to the back corner? Why wouldn't he just race this guy there and the quarterback gets it up quick? Because he could just take off on a dead sprint, be real physical because he's probably a bigger guy, get hands and reroute me all the way to the sideline and give this quarterback like an inch to make this throw, which is an incredibly hard throw to make from a quarterback perspective, from a guy who played quarterback. It's incredibly hard when you don't have any space there on the goal line. But when you got your guy working right here and you can just put it with some air to a spot and let him go run there and let him go run out and win that race, it's easy money as a quarterback. That makes your job 10 times easier. So that's why we attack that leverage. Now, it's real important that when we come off of here, we got to make sure I keep my head down. I don't look back right away. I'm focused on getting some separation for about like 2 to 3 steps. Keep your head down. Let's burst. Let's attack his leverage, get him to sit, keep my head down, and let's burst, and let's win that race to the back corner of the end zone. Great job being late with his hands, too. Easy money to beat that DB. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. So great route here by Moore. Attack leverage, give that move, give him a little hesitation, then win that race to the back corner. That's a great job. All right, so now the second way, and you guys can always get open, right? Always get open, always be able to create some separation, is by constantly fighting the hands of a DB, okay? So like even not just necessarily off the line, but you got to have that like second level release, that second level where you're constantly just ripping his hands off, trying to swat, trying to rip underneath and getting the hands off this DB. That's how you're going to be able to get a ton of separation, okay? So let's watch this full speed. So you see when he comes off here, he's attacking his leverage, DB's kind of bailing. We swat to get those hands off, then I'm able to drop and create a ton of separation, okay? So now, let's talk about this. This is what a lot of receivers struggle with, that off the line in this case right here, where they're just one-on-one pressed, whatever, DB's going to try to jam, DB's going to try to shoot hands, I got to plan with my feet. That's the only time guys will work their hands, right? But you want to pretend like throughout the route, throughout the whole entire route, the DB has got like crap underneath his fingernails. So you don't want him to touch you, right? You want to get his hands completely off you. You never want him to touch you. So that's how we should approach every single route, no matter what. I remember doing a coaching clinic, I believe it was the University of Oregon. Some guys came down and they were talking to us, and they were saying that like 70% of the time when the DB got hands, they would win the rep. So that means 7 out of 10 times the DB gets hands on receivers, we lose, right? So if we're constantly fighting hands, that increases our odds of winning, right? But the 3 times they didn't get, or maybe when they don't get hands, it's like 10 out of 10 times we win the dang rep, right? Because that's so hard as a DB when you're trying to guard a guy who runs good routes, who has good indicators, and you don't have a hand to kind of guide where you're going. You don't have a hand on him to kind of guide where he's going to be breaking this thing off, right? So let's watch this thing again, or no, excuse me. Let's break down the top of the route. You see how he's constantly chopping at that point of control, right? So that's something that when you try to get a DB's hands off, you don't want to just like try to fight his hands, try to rip underneath, me try to swat his shoulders every time. You want to attack the point of control. Yes, his shoulder is a point of control. Hip is a point of control. But back of the elbow and back of the like forearm, arm area, that is also a point of control. Because when we could swat down and get those hands off, and I'm in this space and you're 10 to 12 yards downfield and you're selling vertical correctly, you're in stride, you have good speed, that's going to force that DB out of there. That's going to force that DB to run, and then I can just drop it off. And you see, when we're in this space, even if this DB plays it perfectly, he's able to drop his hips and make a break on this thing or drive on this thing, but I'm able to get his hands off and I'm able to drop right now. That's going to create you all the separation in the world. So that's a great job by this receiver working that. Great job coming back to the ball and widening the gap simply because I didn't just torch him with my feet off the line. I beat him with my feet. I got up into my route, but I got those hands off. Constantly work to fight those hands, constantly work to get that separation. So watch it again, full speed. Second level release. Fight those hands, snap this thing off, and then come back to that ball. Great work right there by that receiver. All right, so now last but not least, we're going to be talking about the third way against press coverage that you can always guarantee be able to get open, right? Because getting open ain't that, it's not, I don't want to say it's not that hard, but you don't need a lot of space to be considered open, because you know what a quarterback's taught? What a quarterback is taught is that if you got your guy by a step, you're open. We're going to throw you open. We're going to go put you at that spot so you can run, hit this thing full speed and catch it. That's simple as day. Everybody knows that. If you've even played football, you've heard quarterbacks say that. You've heard coaches say that. You want to throw him open, right? But that doesn't mean we're just obviously covered by this guy. So let's talk about this. So what Diggs does here is he goes with this wide step release where you step with your back foot outside the DB's frame. We get him to jump, and then I'm able to take an inside release, right? So he ends up running like kind of like a slant out right here. But let's watch it full speed, then we'll break it down. So you see how he steps outside of the DB's frame. That is the third key to make sure that you're always getting open, especially against press coverage with your releases, right? Because you want to think of it like this. Think of it, everybody's probably driven in a car before. So we're thinking, you probably have seen like 3 lanes, right? So you got 3 lanes driving. You got the left lane, you got the middle lane, which is where the DB is, then you got the right lane. If you're trying to take this inside release, you're trying to get him to jump out here, you actually have to threaten him outside. He's not going to move if you don't threaten him there. If he doesn't feel threatened to the outside, he doesn't feel like he has to, oh shit, I got to get back to the outside, I don't want to get beat on a fade, then he's not going to move, right? So you see what Diggs does is he steps all the way into that left lane. You see how he takes that little like prep step right here? That's not a false step for those of you wondering. This step right here is a step that gives you that explosion, and they call it like a balanced step. People who call that a false step don't know what they're talking about. If you're against zone coverage and maybe you're taking that step, then yeah, it's a false step because you want to just get right up into the route. But if you're trying to create some explosion, that's not a false step. That's like a power step. That's a balanced step. That's no different than like kicking behind. I personally don't like it when receivers kick behind and then throw out because I feel like that takes too long. This little is just subtle little prep step right here. This little prep step is what gives him that explosion and pushes him to the outside. And you see, where does he step? Steps outside this DB's frame. That's what forces him outside. Now we get him off that platform. He shoots that hand. I could just swat the hand nice and easy, no problem. Diggs doesn't even have to. Now I got the inside release. Right now, he's open. Literally right now, he's open. From a quarterback perspective, if he's running like a slant, he's wide ass open. And then when he's running this out route, you see how much space he's able to create because he moves this DB off that platform, and the DB does not have hands, much like what we talked about in the second clip of this video. Okay, so it's really important that anytime you're against press, maybe he wants to go here. Maybe he wants to hit him with a double up. Maybe like one time I'm running just a straight up fade. I know I'm not getting the ball. I just give him this quick little, I just give him one step and then I just go and I just run to the outside and he feels my speed. Now I'm actually going to take an inside release. I do the exact same thing with that first step. I do the exact same thing with my upper half. I sell with my upper half as well as stepping outside of his frame. That's what gets that DB to jump. Now I got this inside move. Now let's say maybe you want to take an outside release and you want to go here 1, 2, and then 3. And you take this third step, but you step into that right lane and that moves that DB off that platform. It gets him to overcommit and think that he got beat. It gets him to turn those hips, and then I'm able to take the outside release. So that all builds. Anytime you guys want to be able to take that wide step outside his frame, double up, split release, it's got to happen outside the DB's frame because we got to be able to threaten him. Threatening the DB is what will move the DB. Let's watch this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job using that wide step here by Diggs, getting him off, and then obviously just doing what he does, making sure that we're able to win at the top of the route always. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions on this at all, please leave those in the comments below. Hope this video gave you guys some value. But also, fellas, if you want to improve your route running in 10 days only with 10 days step-by-step process to run better routes, all the specific drills, technical points that you need to do to become a better route runner, check out that very first link in the description. Hope we get you guys on that soon, and I'll see you guys next time.